The drum beats shake the sky, the market hums, and every heartbeat shapes this moment. Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm a creator of a one-woman apparel brand based in UK, transforming vintage Japanese kimono into bold, upcycled fashion. Over the next few days, I'll take you behind the scenes, a sewing marathon, booth setup, and the rush of the market itself. This isn't just about making products, it's about crafting an experience, navigating the chaos, and celebrating creativity. So grab a cup of coffee and stay tuned. At the end, I'll reveal the final sales I made in a single day at the market. Before diving into preparations, I looked back at the big 3-day event I attended last month. With around 30,000 visitors over 3 days, it was an incredible learning experience. I realized small items like scrunchies, keychains, and bangles sold really quickly, especially when I moved them to the front of the display. Bigger pieces like jackets, bags, and skirts contributed more to overall sales, but in terms of volume, the smaller accessories dominated. This time, my booth is just 1.5 by 3 meters, a quarter the size of my last event. But with 40,000 visitors in a single day, it's all about numbers. I had to choose show a wide range with 2 tables or focus on quick sales with 1. I went for the latter, spotlighting small items that move fast. Based on GPT's analysis, the target was set. Sell 90 to 95 pieces out of 100 in a single day. I already had enough stock, but just bringing what I had wasn't enough. I wanted to challenge myself and give my regulars something new to be excited about. So the mission began. 100 brand new items created in just 1 week. The countdown was on. Now let's dive into the creation process. First up, scrunchies. For this, I'll be working with fabric from 7 different silk kimono. And what exactly is a kimono? Let me explain. The word kimono originally just meant clothing in Japanese. But today it refers specifically to traditional Japanese dress. After Western clothing was introduced during the Meiji era, the word kimono came to mean Japanese-style clothing. It's made by stitching together straight pieces of fabric, worn wrapped in the front and tied with an obi sash. The first kimono I'll be working with is a deep blue homongi. It features an eva moyo design, a continuous pattern that flows seamlessly from the shoulders through the sleeves and all the way to the hem. Homongi are incredibly versatile. They can be worn for a wide range of occasions, from weddings and graduation ceremonies to tea gatherings and parties. They're suitable for women of all ages, whether married or unmarried. Its fan motif called Sue Hirogari symbolizes growth and good fortune as the fan opens wider towards the end. I found this piece earlier this year in Asakusa. Deep blue silk like this is rare, and while it was a little pricey, I know how quickly items in this shade sell. Next is a pink crane frisode, a style with long flowing sleeves and bold patterns, traditionally worn by unmarried women at coming-of-age ceremonies or family weddings. The color shifts beautifully in the light, and salmon pink frisode are especially rare. I had a particular customer in mind when I bought it. She adores pink and buys every new variation I create. Inside, the kimono has a chic checked lining, which makes it even more special. Then there's a common pattern with autumn leaves, chrysanthemums, and plum blossoms. perfect for the coming season. Common are casual kimono covered in repeating patterns, often worn for outings or visits to shrines. Cream tones like this are unusual, and I chose it to add variety to my designs. Depending on where I cut the fabric, each scrunchie will have a slightly different look. I also picked up a colorful children's kimono used for the traditional Shichigo-san festival, which dates back over 1300 years. At ages 3, 5, and 7, children were once at high risk, so families celebrated these milestones with prayers for health and longevity. This particular kimono was made for a 7-year-old girl. Red patterns like this have fallen out of favor recently. Lighter blues are trending, so I imagine this piece was sold because it was no longer loved or simply taking up storage space. Another treasure is a komo with a striking maple design, in excellent condition, likely never even worn. I found it in Osaka. Then there's a vintage light blue kimono with a floral motif I sourced in Asakusa. Rare to find in such vibrant shades. It was expensive, but I knew it would bring a unique feel to my collection. And finally, a deep green furisode, also from Asakusa. I bought it with one of my loyal customers in mind, someone who loves this exact shade of green. When I first started this business, I only bought patterns I personally liked. But over time, I realized something more important, thinking about each customer individually, especially those who return again and again. To me, creating a true customer experience means going beyond expectations and making something that feels personal. So now that I've introduced the kimono, it's time to start carefully unpicking them. Wait, what? Cutting into a beautiful kimono? Thanks for asking. If you've been following me for a while, you've heard me explain this before. But since nearly 70% of my viewers are new, I want to share why I do this. As I mentioned earlier, since the Meiji era, fewer people in Japan wear kimono. Many find them difficult to put on or impractical for daily life. As a result, countless kimonos sit untouched in closets, or worse, are thrown away. Japan discards over 500,000 tons of kimono every year, much of it simply burned as waste. Traditionally, though, Japan has had a culture of mottainai, the spirit of not being wasteful. In the past, when materials were scarce, everything was reused. Kimono were passed down from parent to child, dismantled for other garments, or repurposed into daily goods like wrapping clothes and accessories. Even the cotton inside could be removed and reused depending on the season. Fast fashion nearly erased this culture, but today sustainability and renewed interest in Japanese traditions are bringing it back. That's why in 2024, I started my own kimono upcycling brand. I personally source vintage kimono in Japan and transform them into new wearable items, giving these beautiful fabrics a second life and sharing this refined culture with those who appreciate it. Using kimono fabric in my creations is one of the most rewarding parts of my work. But it also takes time and effort to transform them into reusable fabric. That's one reason why my pieces are often more expensive than other handmade items. Still, the process is quite straightforward once you understand the structure of a kimono. As I dismantle one on screen, Let me walk you through the four main components. The first is the eri or collar. This is the band of fabric that runs around the neckline and extends down the front, and it's usually made from multiple layers. Then we have the sode or sleeves. They are typically wide and rectangular, and they attach at the shoulder and underarm openings. Next there is the okumi or front overlap panels. These are the narrower strips attached to the front body panels, creating the overlapping section when the kimono is wrapped around the body. Finally, the migoro or bodice. These are the main body panels of the kimono, covering both the front and back torso and forming the central structure of the garment. There are more detailed terms for the different sections of a kimono, but for now, these four are the most important to remember. When you know the structure of a kimono, it's much easier to grasp the big picture. Once dismantled, the fabric returns to long rectangular panels, just like what you see here on the screen. The time it takes to dismantle a kimono really depends on the piece. Some can be taken apart easily by hand, while others require carefully unpicking each stitch with a seam ripper. For example, this cream-colored kimono took me about an hour to undo. On the other hand, this children's kimono took several hours. Even though the fabric is quite thin, it was stitched together very securely. And this light blue one came apart mostly by hand. Since the seam ripper didn't get in, there was hardly any loose thread left behind. Once the kimono is fully dismantled, the next step is ironing. Some creators like to wash their kimono first, but since this one was in good condition, I decided to upcycle it as is. I get a lot of questions about washing, so I'm planning to make a separate video just about that. Washing at home can cause slight shrinkage, and traditional kimono shops generally don't recommend it. But if you live overseas, it's not always easy to find a specialist cleaner, so I'll be experimenting with it myself in the future. When ironing, I noticed the kimono's distinctive vintage scent. That smell usually comes from two things: mold or bacteria caused by humidity during storage, and insect repellents like naphthalene or camphor that release gases over time. To reduce the odor, the goal is to help these smell molecules evaporate, which you can do with airflow or heat. At home, there are a few ways to do this. You can hang the kimono in a well-ventilated space. Think traditional airing out methods. Just don't leave it too long, or uneven shrinkage could distort the seams, and sunlight might fade the fabric. Steam from an iron is another effective way. The heat and moisture help the odor molecules evaporate. Lastly, a hair dryer can also work. It's labor intensive, but moving hot air across the fabric helps release odor. But to be honest, some people don't mind the smell, myself included. I actually kind of like it because it's like a little time capsule. That scent carries the history of the kimono, the hands that made it, and the places it's been. For me, it adds character and a sense of story to the fabric, so I don't always feel the need to remove it completely. After finishing the dismantling and ironing of the kimono, I decided to take a quick break. By then, a day and a half had already passed. With the kids back at school after a long summer, I finally had a moment to myself. I sneakily indulged in a shiroi koibito cookie, a white chocolate languede shot my family brought from Japan. Originally from Hokkaido, these treats are now found at almost any airport in Japan. But there's something extra special about enjoying them quietly, just me, a cup of coffee and a little playful pose before getting back to work. And now the mass production begins. I start with the scrunchies. Some are made entirely from patterned fabric, while others mix a patterned outer layer with a plain lining. Each one is unique, carefully crafted to be an original piece. By this point, it's already Wednesday, and the event on Sunday is less than 4 days away. I'm feeling the pressure big time. Once the fabric is cut, it's straight to the sewing machine. After stitching, I use one end of a chopstick to carefully turn the scrunchies right side out. Then I fold one edge inward and iron it in place. It takes time, but this step makes the finished scrunchies look neat and polished. I also cut the elastic in bulk, thread it through each scrunchie, and secure it with 2 small stitches. Next, I move on to the keychains, made from leftover kimono obi fabric. I actually started making these last year after receiving advice from a veteran seller at a market, and they've become a consistently popular item. It's a win-win because I can use leftover fabric while creating something customers love. These scraps are available in 100-gram packs on my website and are especially popular among fellow sewists. I'm confident I have some of the most luxurious and beautiful scraps in the world, unique to my collection. Since I haven't sold much at markets this year, I decided to make some fresh keychains again, starting with a small test batch rather than cutting everything at once. Finally, it's on to the bangles. These require patience and precision, ensuring that each piece is smooth and polished before it goes on display. Even with the ticking clock, this part is incredibly satisfying, seeing the pieces come together one by one, ready for the market. By the day before the market, all the extra lighting and business cards I had ordered had arrived. I added Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube icons to the new cards. There was also mysterious black items. You'll see what they are on the day. I charged my phone, power packs, selfie stick, and payment terminal in the morning, and preparing shopping bags. Unlike last time, I decided to give these out for free to customers who spent above a certain amount, as a way to promote the brand. With some extra time, I turned my attention to kimono I hadn't yet worked on. These are going to be haori jacket. First, I marked the desired lengths for the sleeves and hems, then carefully cut along those lines. This particular haori tutorial was requested by a member of my Silk Circle YouTube membership. Joining the circle allows members to get priority replies from me, as well as access to my daily project updates. The community is a space where members can share ideas and see what everyone is working on, which is perfect for those who want to dive deeper into the world of kimono sewing. If what I've shared so far has uplifted you or sparked your curiosity about kimono, I'd love for you to join us inside Silk Circle. Back to the haori. After cutting, I folded the fabric inward and pressed it with an iron. Since I was racing against the clock, I sewed it quickly on the machine, but hand stitching would make it even neater. For non-sewers, hem tape could work as a substitute. These side openings called miyatsukuchi were traditionally used to regulate heat and moisture, and sometimes as a nursing opening for women. I left these intact. I also made a small pocket from the inner checked lining. It was too cute to leave out. I repeated the same process with a deep green kimono, changing the thread color too much. Feeling inspired, I even made a few scrunchies from leftover scraps. They turned out absolutely adorable. So, over 6 intense days, how many items did I create from kimono? "53 scrunchies, 24 bangles, 26 keychains, and 2 haori. A total of 107 items. And now the market is just 1 day away." It was a beautiful Sunday in mid-September, sunny, crisp, and clear. Honestly, I was glued to the weather forecast all week because they kept predicting rain and cold temperatures for this day. Outdoor markets are always a gamble. On one hand, the risk of bad weather can mean fewer visitors and tougher conditions. But on the other hand, when the sun is shining, the crowds pour in and the atmosphere is unbeatable. High risk, high return. That's the game. As I drove closer, we saw the red and white tents, the tall column, and the huge lion statues. That's right, we had arrived at Trafalgar Square. This is where Japan Matsuri, London's biggest annual Japanese festival, takes place. Once a year, this iconic square fills with food stalls, performances, crafts, and thousands of people celebrating Japanese culture. The square was already buzzing, so it took a few loops around before I could finally pull the car in. Next came the search for my spot. Where could it be? Ah, there it was. あ、おはようございます。 Hi, I'm Risa. Are you?
Nice to see you.
Good to
Nice
see you.
meet you.
Finally saw you
Yeah.
giving the place.
Oh,
Thank you.
the barrier is missing. I must tell them, remind them to do the.
Yeah. Is it coming or
Yeah,
should
it
I
is coming.
just share?
No, it's coming. They should.
Okay,
oh, let
great.
me give you a.
最後です。重いよ。This time, my space was about a quarter of the size of what I had at the last event. Much smaller, but still manageable. The upside was fewer loads to carry, 2 trips back and forth, and everything was unloaded. Even though most of what I planned to sell were the items I'd made during that crazy production week, I brought along almost my entire online shop collection as well. Why? Because I know there are people who have followed me on Instagram for a long time, browsing the website, and maybe today would be the chance to finally fold something in their hands. Plus, I often get questions like, "Do you have this one? What about that one?" And I wanted to be ready with a yes. And now, time to build a store. I started by assembling the tables and essential display fixtures. One important tip here is to chat with your neighbors without getting in the way. It's a great way to make friends. I launched this business last year and was at market almost every week. But even so, this is only my second year. There's still so much to learn. Learning from fellow vendors, asking how they source their products, which markets they attend, and what strategies they use to attract customers is invaluable, especially when they share a similar target audience. There's no better source of practical knowledge than the person right next to you. Oh, and I almost forgot something. This is where the black item I recently purchased come into play. They were table lifters, designed to raise products to eye level. The importance of this became clear when I saw other creators doing it on Instagram. Displaying item at eye level really helps draw attention and encourages people to engage. Next, I start setting up the rack, which has always been my weak spot. And wouldn't you know it, I hit a major snag. The rack doesn't fit. I managed to position it at a slight angle, making it work. Then I added the bangle stand and keychain board, and suddenly there was no more room left. I had originally planned to display a few howdy here, but I had to improvise and hang them from the tent frame in the back. The key lesson: every pinch is an opportunity to get creative. Now it's time to hang the keychains. The arrangement of color is surprisingly important. It can really affect sales. Last year at one market, I let my husband arrange the keychains, and that setup sold incredibly well. So I decided to replicate it. Next, I positioned the bangles, mixing in some older stock to show variety. Finally, I arranged the scrunchies. Variety is key here, so I placed the newly made scrunchies up front while still including some online inventory in the back. Just 20 minutes before the event started at 10 a.m., I finally wrapped up my setup. My kimono were really shining today, especially the haori hang at the back. None of these pieces were even listed online yet, so I knew returning customers would be excited to see them. By the time everything was in place, the sun had risen fully and warmed the square, creating the perfect atmosphere for the market to begin. I slipped on a haori, picked up my favorite kimono bag, and grabbed a proper bite to eat to fuel the busy day ahead. A small wave of accomplishment hit me. The hard part was done. From here on, it was all about enjoying the atmosphere, soaking it in, and getting ready for the rush of the day. And just like that, the event had begun. The moment the gates opened, the store next to me drew a massive line. They were selling CDs. Soon people started gathering around my booth as well. I had never seen a market this crowded from the beginning before. Among the sea of faces, I even spotted someone fully dressed head to toe as Myaku Myaku, the expo mascot from this past spring and summer in Osaka, Japan.
What's it called? This Mizuno.
Did you have fun in Bangkok? 楽しかったですか?
Barely 20 minutes in, my very first customer arrived. They bought not one but two scrunchies, and not just any scrunchies. These were made from obi embroidered with pure gold thread, some of the most premium pieces in my collection. Talk about early birds catching the worm. Next came a woman dressed in green from head to toe, even her jacket buttons smudged. She picked out a green scrunchie I had made just the day before. Then another customer in a red jacket spotted by for a matching red scrunchie. Soon after, the keychains began selling as well, and even the decorative charms I had prepared for wholesale turned out to be a big hit. Around that time, my family stopped by with a life-saving gift, dango. Honestly, there was no day I needed sugar more than this one. I also noticed many visitors dressed in kimono, each with their own creative twist. One person wore a stunning Heian-style kimono and obi, while another had a cat-themed obi that they had actually made themselves. Styled with a belt, proof that there are no rules when it comes to wearing
One, and
kimono.
I thought it would go well because it's more, yeah. なんか舞してください。ちょっと待ってください。え、可愛いんですけど。あ、いいですね。
New items also started finding their homes. A freshly made headband went quickly, followed by a haori that drew a lot of attention. One customer came by, tried it on, asked the price, and walked away, only to return later after checking every other store. That's why they finally bought it. Bangles were also flying off the table, including ones I had stayed up making just the night before. Those extra hours of marathon crafting paid off. By midday, the square was still buzzing, but sales slowed a bit. The weather, which was supposed to be cold and rainy, turned out to be warm and sunny, and the sheer size of the crowd meant many people walked past without stopping. I decided to take a quick walk myself, hoping to grab a matcha latte from a popular cafe run by a local Japanese mother. But with a 20 to 30 minutes wait, I gave up and headed back to my stall.
Hawks from My Hero Academia.
Hero Academia, yes, of course. すごいかっこいいですね。
Don, 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 don. Doko, doko, don, 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 don. Say that. Don, don, don. Don, don, don. Doko, doko, don, 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 don. Imagine you're playing. Don.
As the afternoon turned to evening, things picked up again.
This one as well.
I think you wouldn't wear this.
Either this one or this one. Yeah, it's your ultimate favorite.
What about you?
I swapped into a more eye-catching haori, which seemed to draw fresh attention.
I don't know what I look like at the minute. Oh my god.
To my surprise, I even bumped into a customer I had chatted with at my previous event. They had asked for a sensu fan case, but when I admitted I hadn't made any yet,
When I was in Japan, I saw it's just like a little pouch.
they
basically
just
to
said,
keep it
well,
safe.
I won't need it until next year anyway. With a younger audience, smaller priced items like keychains sold best. I had originally made these charms to bundle with kimono keychains, but this time I priced them to sell individually too. And by evening, most of them were gone. At my friend's suggestion, I also decided to display some bags, even though I thought the higher price point meant they wouldn't sell. To my surprise, they ended up stopping people in their trucks. The bags caught their eye first, giving them a reason to linger and look around. By 7 p.m., the sky had darkened and I turned on the new lights I had bought. The tent had its own lighting, but I used mine anyway. I think it gave the store a warm, inviting glow. With just 30 minutes left before closing, the crowd began to thin.
You had a good day? Oh yeah, good. It's been quite busy, yeah. It was long day. We here for a long, like how long you been here? Oh wow! Oh, but you made it just in time. Oh, well done.
So I started slowly packing up larger items like howdy. Then, just 5 minutes before the event ended, my final customer appeared.
So what's the character?
Without hesitation, they pointed to a bag, said they loved Demon Slayer and bought it instantly, without even checking the price. There were lessons learned too. A few customers left because of checkout delays caused by poor internet connection, and I hadn't brought larger sizes of headbands, which meant I missed a few sales. Still, those are things I'll improve for next time. And finally, the big reveal. After 6 straight days of preparing over 100 handmade items, in just a single day at Trafalgar Square, I sold 68 pieces, served 36 customers, and ended with £1,369 in sales. Do you think my marathon was worth it? New products, fabrics, and kits will be available on my website at the next drop. Until then, this one-woman brand is signing off from Trafalgar Square. See you in my next video. またね!